In this video, we're going to go over an APA practice exercise for how to place in-text citations in paragraphs and essays. So this worksheet is available under the description, and you can download it from there, and I would advise doing it ahead of time and then coming back to this video and watching me walk through the answers and explain why. And then also the APA in-text citation PowerPoint guide is available in the video description as well that you can use. Otherwise, you can use a book such as the APA Manual of Style for referencing where this information is coming from. So first off, let me explain what's going on here. So we have a well-written essay from a student that is close to being done but does not have APA in-text citations in yet. And so this exercise is placing those in-text citations as though we were the writer, and this is the last thing we're going to do before the essay is ready to go. So to give you an idea of what's going to happen here, scrolling all the way to the last page, number 5, you'll see that there are references here. So there are references to use, but no in-text citations. And there are 4 references, so we'll be using 4 different in-text citations used throughout the essay here, multiple places for most of them. And the references are here to show you what they would look like, but then also provide you with the information that you'll need for the in-text citation. And so the in-text citations are the author and the year, and if a page number is needed, that's already provided in the essay. But the author and year are the first 2 things in the reference entry, so it's a quick and easy way to have that information available so that you can create the in-text citations. And then if you look through the essay, you'll see that chunks of text are highlighted. That means that it's a quote, paraphrase, or summary from that source that matches the color of the reference entry and at the end. So there's 2 ways that most people go about this. The first way is to create the APA in-text citation when it pops up as being needed in your essay, either while you're writing it or you can do it later, as long as you keep track of what chunks of your essay are coming from what source, like has been done here with the highlighting. The other option is to go all the way to the end to the references here and to create the in-text citations for each of the sources and then just copy and paste later or change to the different styles, whether it's in the author's name is in the sentence or it's a full parenthetical citation at the end. So I'm actually going to do the second option where I make the in-text citations for each of the references here and then copy and paste them in as we go. So what I'm going to do is look at each of these. We've got Elkind, and so the author's last name is Elkind. And then I need the year, so comma, year of publication, which is 2007. And so that is the parenthetical citation that would be used anywhere that there is a yellow highlighted chunk of the essay. Do the same thing with Hill here, and we have Hill, comma, this time there's no date of publication, so we're going to use N period D period. The next one is Green, and this one has 3 authors, Johnson, Atkins, Stanton, and we're going to make 2 in-text citations because it would look different depending on if it's the first time you're citing the source or the second plus times that you're citing it. So for the first time, it would be all of their names and the year. So Johnson, Atkins, and Stanton, comma, 2006. And that's because, remember, if you have 3 to 5 authors, you put their last names in full the first time, and then we abbreviate it the second plus times that we use the source. So the second plus times, we would then change it to just the first author's last name, which is Johnson. We put in et al. For and everybody, comma, and the year 2006, and then we are ready. And then the last one here, we have two authors, so we just use both names every time. So we have Smith, ampersand, Jetson, comma, 2009. And remember, if you don't remember the rules, you can look them up in any APA resource, or for example, the APA and text citation PowerPoint that I provide, so that you know what those rules are when you use one author or all of the authors, and so on. So we've got these in-text citations made. They don't actually stay here, so I would want to delete them before I turned in an essay that was ready for, review or to be graded. But I'm going to leave them here for now because I can go back and forth and copy and paste and grab them as needed. So we will go back to the beginning of the essay and figure out where do we need to put these in-text citations. So I'm going to look for my first highlighted chunk of text. So this one, again, doesn't really matter what the sentence is saying. I will just check to see if the author's name is already used in the sentence or not, because that would determine which type of in-text citation I would use. But the author's name is not used, and it is the green one. So I'll go to the end of the essay, and this is the first time we're using this green source. So I'm going to copy this one and go back up to the green highlighted chunk. And we always put the in-text citations, as long as the author's name is not already in the sentence, we put them at the end of the sentence, with the exception if there's a quote that ends earlier than the end of the sentence. So I will put at the end of this green chunk the in-text citation that has all of their names, Johnson, Atkins, and Stanton, 2006. And then the next chunk, it rolls right into the next chunk, which is from Smith and Jetson, so that's the purple source. So I'm going to scroll down and say, okay, yep, Smith and Jetson, and that's from 2009. But because they already have their name used in the chunk here in the first sentence, all I need to do, instead of pulling the whole in-text citation, is put the year in parentheses as part of the author year setup here. So we've got the authors, and then it rolls right into the year, and then it gets into a quote, and then the page number has already been included because we wouldn't be able to look that up. So that is the purple, fuchsia, whatever color it is, chunk here. And you can see how these two are different. This one, the green, has the parenthetical citation at the end. Everything's in parentheses. And this pink one puts the authors in the sentence. They're grammatically part of the sentence. Smith and Jetson posit that children without home computers, blah, blah, blah. And we then put the year in parentheses to indicate this is not part of the grammatical structure of the sentence. So then moving on, we've got a yellow chunk here. So I would go down to my references and say, okay, I've got the yellow chunk is Elkind. I'm going to copy that. Come back up to the yellow chunk and just check to see, has his name, Elkind, been used in this sentence? And no, I don't see it. And so even though this chunk has 1, 2, 3, 2.5 sentences from this source, with information from this source, I'm going to put the in-text citation at the end of the first sentence that uses it, because I am telling my reader right away that this information that's in this sentence and then what follows, that's all from Elkind. So in-text citation at the end of the sentence, make sure it's the first sentence. Then I have a blue, aqua, whatever color it is here, chunk. So if I scroll down to the reference page, I'll see, oh, okay, it's Hill, and he doesn't have a date of publication. So I'll look to see, is Hill's name used in this chunk? And it is. When speaking of his 4-year-old daughter, Hill agreed. So right after his name in the sentence, I'm going to put N period, D period, to say that's the author, this is the year, which in this case is no date. All right, then we have a pink or fuchsia one again. So go down and remember up, that's Smith and Jetson, 2009. Scroll back up, say, okay, is there name anywhere in this first sentence that uses the information? No, it's not. However, when I paste this in, it wants to keep the formatting, the information on its own, there's too much, there's parentheses, too much going on. So I need the author, the year, and the page number all in the same chunk. So I'm going to say Smith and Jetson, comma, 2009, comma, page number. And it's at the end of the quote. That's where everything belongs. The next sentence is also summarizing or paraphrasing or using information from that source, but we don't cite it again because it's already been cited once. And we don't have to put another in-text citation in until we change paragraphs, change sources, or quote again. All right, then we have another aqua blue chunk, which we know from up here is from Hill of no date. And checking to see, did we use Hill's name? We did not. So I'm going to put it at the end of the first sentence that uses this information. Hill, N period, D period. And then we have another yellow chunk. And the yellow we know is from Elkind, so we're going to see, did we use his name anywhere in this first sentence from him? No, we did not. So at the end, we're going to put parenthesis, Elkind 2007. And make sure that we're spelling everything correctly. And then we have a blue chunk from Hill. And we'll check to see, is Hill's name already used in the sentence? Yes, it is. So we will just put the year of publication in parentheses following his name. So just putting it in bold to make it easier to see here. And that's all that we need to do. We again have a large chunk from yellow, which is Elkind. So in the first sentence here, we're going to check to see, did we use Elkind's name? Nope. Okay. Then we're going to put the whole thing at the end. Elkind 2007. And again, if you forget which one's which, you just go down to the reference page, copy and paste, or remind yourself, and bring it up. And this is all continuing to be from Elkind, but we do not need another in-text citation because we're not going into quote anywhere in there. And then we have another pink chunk here. And checking to see if Smith and Jetson are mentioned. They are not. So we're going to add to the page number parentheses here, Smith and Jetson, comma, 2009, comma, page number. And then we have a green chunk, which remember is from 3 authors. However, go back to the references here, because this is the second time that the green source is being used, we're going to switch from all 3 authors being listed to Johnson et al. So we're going to go back up to the green chunk. And we don't see Johnson's name anywhere in here, so we're going to add it to the page parentheses here, Johnson et al, period, comma, and then the page number. And then we have one last one that is yellow, which is from Elkind. His name is not in the sentence, this first sentence here, so we're going to add it to the end of that sentence. Elkind 2007. And at this point, you would want to go back to your references and delete your parentheses, your in-text citations, because they do not belong in the references. It was purely for me to know what the in-text citations were if I was going back and forth between the references. And then also, I need to get rid of all highlighting and anything that was bold. So what I'm going to do is actually select all, and then I'm going to get rid of the highlighting and select all and get rid of anything that's bold. And the exception to that would be if you're using section headings that need to be bold. Make sure those stay bold. So then everything is put together here like a regular paper that's ready to be turned in for a grade. And it's a little harder to see when they're not, highlighted and they're not bold, but you can still look for the parentheses to see where those in-text citations are. And you can go through and see that we have an average of about 2 per paragraph, which is actually pretty normal as far as how often people cite in college papers, although there isn't really a limit. And again, having 2 sources working together to build a point, 2 or more, is better than 1 because they can build on each other, agree with each other, disagree with each other, and it's just better to have more than 1 source to rely on. All right, so that's everything. Go through and check, see how you did. Remember, punctuation matters, spacing matters. Make sure that you have the right information. So last names with no initials. Everything has to be perfect here to be perfectly adhering to the APA rules.